Hello, Crecia. Welcome to week 2 at She Critique. Thanks for coming back for some more. I hope it wasn't too bad last week. And I am loving looking at your images this week, so I'm anxious to get started. So you had asked that I focus a little bit more on camera setting, editing tips, composition, and a little bit less on styling. I am certainly happy to do that for you. Today you did start with a styled shoot though for your mini session, so I will get started talking about this. So I guess the first thing I want to say is that these little girls look so adorable. I love how you say they're obviously not thrilled, but I thought their expressions are actually really sweet, and they don't look not thrilled to me. They look really cute. So I thought your image is really adorable. Composition-wise, I would love to have seen a little bit less in the frame. Now, I will tell you, I did take a look on your Facebook page, and I did see the mini shoot. This was, I guess, a test shot for the mini shoot, and I did love how you shot the mini shoot. So I noticed that your subjects might have been a little bit further away from the background, which I seem to like a lot. It created a little bit more dimension. In the image here, I feel like the pumpkin's down in the corner kind of stealing my attention right here, this little guy. And I noticed in your mini shoot you had some less of the props, like all together. So I love the feel of everything, but maybe not quite all at the same time. So we've got, what I would have really liked to seen is that I love the bunting, and maybe have the little girl sitting on the barrel of hay holding the pumpkins with their little hats on and their little headbands. I think that would have been completely in line with the styling of the shoot, but given the more attention given to your little subjects. Also, I was noticing that your camera setting was f4. I think you could have opened that up a little bit wider, pulled these guys out quite a bit, and this would have become a little bit more adding to the background rather than taking my focus to that, the bunting. Like I said, I think you did a fabulous job on the actual mini shoot itself. I saw you utilizing some of the techniques that we had talked about pulling your subject away from the background to create a little bit more dimension and depth, to create that kind of that blur in the background of the bokeh. Okay, so let's take a look at that. I think I've got that pulled into Photoshop, or I'm sorry, Lightroom. I do. So we can see that there, let's talk a little bit about cropping, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring these into Lightroom here today, because we've got some really great crop tools. You can see our subjects are right here in the center, and I'm no studio photographer by any means, but general composition, I really find it more pleasing if your subjects lie on the top third here. So if we would have placed our subjects slightly higher up in the frame, something of that sort, would have been a better crop for that image in particular. All right, let's take a look here. What else did I want to tell you about this image? Oh, your editing. Your editing looks great on this one. You had asked about editing techniques. I think your color is spot on. The only thing I'm noticing is we might have a little bit of a blown red channel in the cheeks here. I can tell that by going into Photoshop. I've got my info button down here, and I'm hovering over the red channel here, or I'm sorry, the cheek, and I can see that my red channel is at 255. So this has been blown, and if you did shoot this in RAW, this is an easy fix, so you would just pull back the exposure in Lightroom. You could just simply do that by pulling it back just like this. Now, on a JPEG, you'll get different results than you do on a RAW file. It's much more effective on a RAW file. So if you have that RAW file, that would be optimal to do that there. But great job overall. I love the tones. I love how they've got the complementing fall colors. It looks really great. Okay. Crecia, let's take a look at your next image. I am in love with this picture. The sweet little girl's expression and body language are adorable. Now, you had said that a lot of your clients, let me read here. Okay. My last critique was heavy on styling. This is something that I do perfectly, and it really takes my clients to the next level. you feel, unfortunately, like your work isn't at the price point yet where you can do a lot of styling. Your clients wear whatever the heck they want and rarely ask for suggestions. If they do ask, they give you color schemes, but rarely want to spend additional money. Okay, so I had thought about this for you, and I feel like you did it. You did the suggestion that I'm going to make here. Okay, so when I have a client show up, now in my case, it is a rarity that I have a client show up and I don't know what they're going to be wearing. But when I shoot for friends or my own children, I often have this scenario occur. So in this particular picture you've got here, I think you did a really great job. Now, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but pat yourself on the back, it works. You've got the beautiful cream and peachy tones from her outfit, and you've got this beautiful like cottony type plant in the background, which I feel is exactly what the color tones of her outfit are. So the chair is matching her tones of her skin, her shoes. We've got these browns and these soft like beiges in here. And I think this was a great job that maybe you didn't know what they were going to be wearing, but you utilized the location to the best of your ability. You know, so if we go over and we look at your next image, which is also the same location, so we've introduced this yellow background here, which although I love this tree, it's beautiful, I feel like this is a much stronger image as far as tones, complementing tones. So I pulled some images just to show you quickly here about utilizing your location, not necessarily having to tell your clients what to wear, but you making the decisions on where you're shooting in that location. So you can kind of glance around and say, okay, well, I can see you've got yellows over here, so maybe let's avoid that. Let's stay over here where these got these creams and these beiges and these brown tones. So here's a session I did where I styled the outfits knowing that the environment was going to be very drab and brown, and we played off of that. But I could have gone to a green field and it would have been a totally different look. And there was a green field right across the way, but I chose to use the brown tones from the environment. Here, this is just a complete snapshot in my neighbor's yard. My point here is I had no idea what she was going to wear. She said, hey, do you mind this afternoon? Can you take a quick snapshot for a Christmas card? Fine. I had no idea what she was wearing, but I placed her in the green grass because I saw that she had red on. Red complements green. And if you want to take a quick look at the color wheel, if you do just a Google search for color wheel, if you're not familiar with complementing tones, there's a lot of images on here that are really easy to kind of explain that to you. You just really pick the opposite color in the color wheel. So client shows up wearing orange, kind of put them in the blue sky. It's a nice complementing color. Easy peasy. Okay, not to spend too much time on that. I wanted to show you a little bit of editing on this particular image that I think we could do to enhance it. Okay, so I think your white balance is spot on with this one. Let me see, I was playing around just a little while here. I wanted to show you composition. Okay, so we've got her right here in the center of our frame. I would like to see her, if we're going to put her in the center of the frame, it would be we need a little bit more framing elements to go ahead and do that. Because right now you can see if we are using our crop tool in Lightroom, you can see she's dead center. So we're not getting a lot of movement in this image. She's pretty static. Our eyes are just kind of, we're not lingering in the image, okay? So we've got our crop overlay. Let's go to our golden spiral. See, we would land somewhere around here if we were going to place her on the frame. The only way I would actually really center her would be if we had more of a leading line from the brush line, and we placed her higher up in the frame, so she'd be in the top third of the frame. Okay, so I want you to think about that next time you're placing your subjects. You also touched on a point. I would like to see you pull her out farther from the background so you get this more blurred out or a bokeh. The only other thing that I would think would be helpful to this image here would be to kind of clone out this background. So my eye is drawn back here to these beautiful gold tones, but I feel like it's taking my attention away from this sweet little girl. So what I would do would be quickly duplicate the layer, Command T to transform, I would flip my image over just like this. I'm going to create a layer mask and invert it by hitting Command I. I'll take my B for brush, and I'm just going to kind of paint this back on here. So I'm just kind of copying the stuff from the other side, flatten that. Now you can see I've got two little tree branches back here. I don't like how that looks, so I'm going to clone those right out. And I want to make sure that my pattern over here does not repeat over here. So I'm just going to take my brush at a low flow and kind of fill this in a little bit, because I don't want my patterns to repeat. It will look like I copied it. Okay. Of course, you know, this is a small file, and I would do this much more carefully on client file. Okay. Okay, so you can see here is the before and the after. Okay. All right, really sweet image. I love, again, her expression, her body language, and how you found a great location to complement her outfit. Okay, last image, Crecia. Oops. Let's look at the background information on this particular picture. Okay, we've got camera settings F4, ISO 320, shutter speed 320 also. So you've shot this with an 80mm. You were asking about which lens you should have chosen for this particular shot. Okay, so as far as lens choice, basically it depends on the story that I'm trying to tell. So are we looking at a family interaction shot, or are we looking at an environmental storytelling shot? So for me, I think this is more about the family interaction, their sweet smiles, or we could make this more about the environment. I'm not quite sure what is in the surroundings, but really this is up to you. You're the storyteller. You decide what story you're going to tell. Now, the way you shot this with the 80mm, I would have we've got to crop this a little bit differently. Again, let's take a look at the rule of thirds. Let's see here. Oops. I'm going to keep it on a 4:6 ratio. All right, and I'm going to put my subjects in there we go, somewhere right about there. Again, girls, if you have larger files, I wouldn't mind helping you out with a larger file. It'd be easier for me to work on. So if we would have, I think the 70mm or 80mm, what was it here? 80mm was a fine lens choice. I would have liked to seen you pull them out a little bit farther from their background. I'm not sure exactly how far they were, or perhaps you could have gotten closer to them to create more of a bokeh in the background. So you had said that you were having a hard time reflecting light back up in their face. I can see why that would be. I think this might have been either after sunset, slightly after sunset, or if the sun had kind of gone down over a hill. I think where you could have gotten better light in their face was if you had turned them towards the light source at this point. Using the reflector, I don't think was going to be able, I think the light was gone at that point, that you could not reflect any light back up in their face. It certainly doesn't mean it's not a keeper. We can certainly work on this in Photoshop. But I think next time, if the sun goes down behind the hill or some trees, you may want to think about facing them towards the light. Okay. So I think I'm just going to bring this up again. I've got that eyedropper on the curves, and I'm going to pull this up quite a bit. All right. I think I want to get this warmed up. Let's see here. Got a little bit of yellow and a little bit of red. Well, not too much red. Actually, let's take this to Lightroom. I think we can do this in Lightroom too. I really prefer to work in Lightroom. Okay. All right, so again, we're going to go crop our guys somewhere like that. Eyes from the top third. We'll pull up with a curve, just like I did in Photoshop. I didn't use I could use the little tool, but I just kind of pulled up the midtones. I'm going to warm this up here. There we go. And a little bit of pink. Good stuff here. Okay, let's add a little bit of vibrance, pull out those tones. Not too much to affect their skin. And I'm going to add a little bit of a post-crop vignette. Okay, so we can see there's our before and after. Oh, where's our without the crop? So we've enhanced it. We've enhanced the tones. We've drawn our attention into our subject, so you can kind of see here. We've got our before and our after. I might even go ahead and bring that up a little bit brighter. Yeah. There we go. This is a great image. I love the natural expressions they've got. Let's look at posing a little bit here. All right, Crecia. So we've got a nice diagonal like we had talked about last week, but we can see that mom's sitting higher than dad is. So really, I would love to see you reverse this. So I'm always thinking about people's perceptions of themselves and how they're appearing in their images, and they really want to look their best. And oftentimes, moms don't want to look bigger than dad. And although she doesn't look bigger in a wide sense, she looks taller than dad. So I try to always put the dads on the high side of the landscape. So if we could have put dad over here, maybe mom kind of leaning up against him and baby kind of in on the lap, we would have created a little nice triangle like that. Dad here, mom here, baby here. All right, I think that's it for this week. Good luck with your images next week. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're going to do with them. And again, feel free to add anything that you want me to talk about specifically. Oh, I'm sorry. You were asking about focus. I just wanted to look at that one more time. You want clients to stop looking straight at the camera, and where should you focus if you shoot at a wider aperture? Okay, let me hit those 2 points before we say goodnight. So it doesn't feel like a snapshot. I get the clients talking to each other. I have them telling them secrets or silly secrets to each other, or I have them doing laughing contests. I always try to see who can laugh the loudest, and then you kind of get some natural giggles, and it's always fun. If you're shooting wider than f4, which I think you should be, they're all pretty close here, like a f3.2 or 2.8 would be completely in line here. You're going to focus on your center point, so somewhere in this vicinity for a focal point. All right, Crecia, I hope I answered all your questions, but please feel free to add any information or anything else you're looking for in your critique, and I will try to hit on that next week. Thanks again, and we will see you all next week.